friends, it's Kristen. For this month's teen craft, we're going to be making Bumblebee Garland. All you'll need for this kit is a pair of scissors. Make sure to register online for one of these and keep watching to learn how to make your very own Bumble Buddies. So what we're going to do to start is you're going to cut out your template for your pom-pom maker. Make sure you save this little part that comes out of the middle here. We're going to need that later, so we're just going to put that to one side. And what we're going to do is on our cardboard, we're going to trace this "Make Life Easy for Yourself" and put it right at the bottom of the cardboard here. That way you've got less pieces to cut out. So I am just going to trace that. Don't have to draw the bottom lines, so that's super simple. Oop. Foot wiggles, just put it back into place the best you can. Doesn't have to be perfect. And I have the feeling mine is not going to be. So, once you have your piece on there, you're going to cut that out. You can use scissors, or if you have one, this is a craft knife. You can also use a utility knife or an X-Acto knife. This comes in handy for the circular part right here because it's hard to get scissors in there and making them look round and perfect. And then we're just gonna get the wrapping around there. If you choose to use the X-Acto knife or the utility knife, which is what I'm going to do, make sure you put something underneath it, like more cardboard or a cutting board, so you don't wind up cutting into your table, which I have done before. Let's cut around there, cut the heart, and it should pop out. The roundest part is always the hardest part. Don't worry about getting it all in one piece, whether you use the scissors or the utility knife, because you can go back and just get that little round part perfect. So it's going to look like that. Mine's still a little fussy here, so I'll pop that part out with my hand. So it's going to look like a little U. You're going to do that 3 more times until you have 4 of these. Once you have 4, oops, just dropped mine. You're going to take 2 of them. You're just going to overlap them like that. See, so you've got right on top of there. You are going to take your black yarn. Just go up and under there. Pop it right in your U. Start wrapping, do a couple of wraps just to get this from stopping wiggling on you, and then you can sort of adjust it. So we're going to want it so it touches. These are basically like feet, so you want it to touch flat against the feet but not go around the feet, because we're going to need those bare for later. We're going to give it 15 to 20 wraps here. The nice thing about this is you can flip it, so if you're left-handed rather than right-handed, you can wrap the other way. I lost count. I'm going to say that was 8 twists. So that's 20. This is way too much black for this section, but you can squish it down. So you want to get it so the top curve here is open for the next color to go on. And just kind of wiggle it down. I'm going to snip the end of your thread. Wrap it up and around the back. And then you're going to want to tuck it in here so it's not loose. I'm using a toothpick just because it's easier to get it in there. I have big clumsy fingers. So I'm just tucking under there. You see it? Pull it tight. You see there's my loop. I'm going to pull it down so it's out of the way. Now you're going to switch to your yellow and just do the same thing. Give it a couple of wraps so it stays in place. And then another 15 to 20 wraps there. Once you have your yellow tied off, you're going to go back to your black. Do the same thing, 15 to 20 more loops around the end without covering the feet. My yellow's creeping up, so I'm just going to give it a push back here. You don't want to overlap the yarn in this, because then when you cut it, the colors are going to be intermixed instead of separate into stripes. Make that mistake a couple times today, and it just looks much nicer, and it's easier for you if they don't overlap, because it's less you have to sort later. I'll give him a nice puffy bee balm here. Sip that off and do the same thing you did before. Take your toothpick and just tuck this guy under another thread so it's not loose. Alright, so there's one side of our bee. We're going to do that again with the other two you cut out. I prepared in advance. So here's our two halves of the bee. What we're going to do is we're going to open these flaps now. Like this. Spread them open. Like that. And kind of fold them. They're not going to stay perfect, but they just need to stay open long enough for you to assemble the bee. So fold those down so you get two of those. You're going to take binder clips. They make me feel like a surgeon when I do this, like I'm opening someone up. I'm going to put these two together so they're flat like that. And again, they're not going to stay perfect. You got to struggle with it a little bit. That's why we have the binder clips to hold them in place. So you're going to put those clips so they clamp down. On one side, hold them both here. Do the same thing with the other side. Some yarn's poking out, that's okay. It's going to get snipped sooner or later. Honestly, I think this is the most frustrating part. It's just making sure they both stay at the same time. Once you have that done, it's pretty easy from here. Okay, so after a little bit of struggle off camera, I got them all set. So it's going to look like this, the side like that. Now we're going to take our scissors. You can use any size scissor you want. I'm using the larger ones because these are the nicer scissors we have here. We're going to pick it up. So we're looking at this and we're going to slot our scissors. See how there's focus? There's a little gap down here. You were going to want to go up through the top and snip. So you're basically cutting through those two things you sandwiched together. Just do little snips at first. And then as you work your way around, it's going to get easier to fit the whole scissor under there. There we go. Now you can see a little bit better. You're going to have your scissors stuck right in between these two guys. Like it's the meat in the sandwich. Keep snipping till you've gone all the way down one side. So it's going to look like that. And I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to do the same thing again. Because wool is thick, sometimes you can wear down your scissors. So if your scissors are dull and aren't cutting like they should, there's this handy trick. You take some foil and you just do 5 or 10 snips in the front, 5 or 10 snips in the back here. That helps get your scissors sharp again. So now we're going to do the other side, do the exact same thing. Up through here, snippy, snip, snip. So now that we have both sides, see all the way through, you have all this, you're going to cut yourself a short piece, plain black yarn, and right in here where that mouth is, where you were cutting through before, you're going to just slide that right in there. I'm going to bring it all the way around to the other side and do the same thing. Just get it in the mouth there, and back around to the top side. Once you do that, you're going to want to bring it around up top here. So this is going to be the top of the bee. So you have that up here, and then you're going to just tuck one end under the other. And pull tight. Pull tight, it should go right down inside there. Pull it as tight as you can. Undo the binding clips. Then do that a second time. Do a single loop and pull tight so it goes down inside there. So what you get is this. Now that he's good and secure, we can just start popping these little cardboard loops off. See, they'll pop right out. If you're struggling and you're finding they're not popping right out, like this one here, it's probably because you just missed one little snip, which is what I did. Snip that one extra string. Sit them tight one more time before you do that. There's your bee. He's a little wonky, but that's okay. That's what trimming is for. So you got loose pieces here, which are probably where we tied and tucked under. You're just gonna give them a little trim. Easiest way to do that is just squish up your baby bumblebee, just like in that song you always had to sing when you were a kid. Then you can start separating. So you see there's some black overlap there. Pull the little black threads out. Push the yellow ones back in. Go all the way around. So you have a nice strip. You can hold it like this, use the loop, and just sort of trim around. Get all the little excess out. So remember I told you earlier to save the middle part of your template, and here's where that comes into play. You take that, you're going to take our white felt, and just draw our template around that. These are going to be our wings. You only actually have to draw this once, because the good thing about felt is you can fold it. So instead of having to draw a bunch of wings, just draw one and fold it, and cut around. I'm only cutting 2 because I only need 2 for my bumblebee. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect because once it's out, you can just trim them to get them the exact shape you want. Like I got to be a little bit rounder. Cut off the points because wings are round, not pointy. There we have a set of wings for our bee. I'll bring him back over. And I am using hot glue for this, but you can use fabric glue or Elmer's glue as well. I'm mostly doing hot glue because it dries so fast. I can show you how to make everything all in one go. So just put a little bit of glue on the tippy tip of the wing. Then you're going to spread your pom-pom and just stick that wing where you'd like it to be and give the wool itself a little squeeze. Like I said, this is hot glue, so it dries fast. If you're using another kind of glue, do all your wings at once and kind of let your bees sit for a couple hours so you know their wings won't fall off. And there we go. There's a little bumble friend. And there we have our 4 bees. Now you can hang these up individually if you want from windows and things, or you can take an extra long black piece of string and just work your way down and tie these little guys off. And just tie one off every couple of inches, and then you've got a cute little bee garland to hang in your garden or around your house. So if you want one of these, you're going to sign up online.